Welcome to Simply Scottish, a podcast of all things Scottish, with music, features, interviews, and more.
On this episode, encouragement and inspiration to help you get through the coronavirus pandemic and beyond. Enjoy some uplifting music, some classic Scottish wisdom and poetry, and more. Our opening music is a rousing track from bagpiper and composer Ross Ainslie. It's called Hope in the Chaos, a collaboration with Runrig guitarist Malcolm Jones. Let's keep listening. Greetings, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Andrew McDermott. Well, we're living in challenging and unprecedented times. Right now, we're all in the middle of a global pandemic. To stop the spread of the 2019 novel coronavirus, most of us have been living under some form of lockdown or stay-at-home order that has changed the way we live. Schools and businesses have closed their doors, social gatherings large and small have ceased, and essential supplies like masks and cleaners are in short supply. We've seen major stresses on our hospitals, and everyday frontline workers like ER doctors and nurses, delivery drivers, and grocery store and pharmacy employees are the new heroes. To date, there have been over 4.2 million confirmed cases of COVID-19, resulting in 300,000 deaths. No one has escaped this pandemic unaffected. Many of us know someone who has gotten sick with it, and most of us have been affected financially, mentally, and physically. Some areas of the world are cautiously opening up again in an attempt to reinvigorate local economies. But with the possibility of new outbreaks and return of the virus later in the year, things remain quite uncertain at the moment. So wherever you are today, and whatever you're going through right now, we're all in this together. One small way I can help others at this moment is by passing on some encouragement and inspiration through this show. So I've gathered together a selection of Scottish wisdom and verse to share with you today. This pandemic has been a great global tragedy, but what has helped me through this ordeal is seeing the good that is coming out of it all. The renewed sense of community and neighbourliness, the sacrifice, the creativity, the new ways and means of reaching others, the enjoyment of our homes, the celebration of our humanity. These are the things that will carry us through this and move us forward. Before I continue, and in that spirit of community that we all need right now, I want to say a quick thank you to a few listeners who recently got in touch with me. Laura is in Bogota, Colombia. She recently traveled to Edinburgh and fell in love with the city. She's now very interested in Scottish culture. Laura, I'm glad you found the show. And over on Apple's Podcasts app, Helen is listening in New York State and had this to say in her review. If it's possible to have a crush on a country, then I have a crush on Scotland. I visited for the first time last year and had planned to spend May of this year roaming the Highlands and Islands until COVID-19 came along and cancelled my flight. Fortunately, thanks to Simply Scottish, I can still indulge my longing for all things Caledonian. Helen, so sorry you couldn't get over to Scotland right now, but I'm glad we can help you out here. Wherever you're tuning in around the world, take a moment to drop me a line and say hello. My email is andrew@simplyscottish.com, or you can reach us through the contact form at simplyscottish.com. Let's start with a few sayings I found from the Gaelic language. The first is this: listen to the wind upon the hill till the waters abate. The collection I found this in said it meant to keep a low profile until trouble passes. I also take it to mean that we can take time to enjoy the healing beauty of nature while we wrestle with life's challenges. Here's another saying from the Gaelic that's relevant to us today. The geese will tell it in autumn. What do you take that to mean? Well, birds native to the UK and Europe, such as the greylag goose, can be seen in Scotland mostly September through March or April, when wild visitors appear in the north. Large flocks of geese are actually one of Scotland's most famous wildlife spectacles. In any case, the saying is basically a reminder that all will be revealed in due course. That's a comfort right now, because we have a lot of questions and uncertainty about life during and after the pandemic. Let's turn to music again, this time from one of my favourite Scottish musical acts, the Proclaimers. There's no mistaking the sound of Edinburgh brothers Craig and Charlie Reid. They've been making music since the early 1980s. This is a fitting song from their album Sunshine on Leith. It's called I'm on My Way.
I'm on my way from misery to happiness today. I'm on my way from misery to happiness today. I'm on my way to what I want from this world. And years from now, you'll make it to the next world. And everything that you receive of your I'll do my best to do the best I can. To keep my feet from jumping from the ground, dear. To keep my heart from jumping through my mouth, dear. To keep the past and not the present. To try and learn when you teach me a lesson. I know that I don't want for anything. I'd have all just and sing. I'm sitting on top of the world. I'm on my way from misery to happiness today. Yeah, I'm on my way from misery to happiness today. I'm on my way to what I want from this world. And years from now, you'll make it to the next world. And everything that you receive up yonder is what you gave to me the day I wonder. I'm on my way to what I want from this world. And years from now, you'll make it to the next world. And everything that you receive up yonder is what you gave to me the day I wonder. I'm on my way. 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 I'm on my way.
This is Simply Scottish. On this episode, some inspiration and encouragement to face challenging times. Specifically, the coronavirus pandemic, but in general, the challenges and hardships of living. We all have problems, and we can all benefit from hope, kindness, and encouragement. One of the books on my shelf of Scottish titles is a wee one, Haud Your Wisht, Your Scottish Granny's Favourite Sayings, by Alan Morrison. I found a good handful to share with you today, many of which utilise words from the Scots language, a sister language of English. The first one is an exercise for you in rolling those R's. Recht rangs nae man, meaning goodness has no bad effects on anyone. Then there's this, peace o' mind's not in the shops. You can't buy peace of mind. Peace begins inside us. It informs our state of mind, our worldview, our outlook. And oh, how our spirit yearns for peace. Here's another one. A helping han helps twa. This one suggests that helping another improves yourself as well. Here's another classic granny reminder. Weans may not listen, but they copy you. Well, that sums up a lot about parenting in a very few words. As a dad myself to 3 daughters and a stepson, I found that to be very true. How about this one? Wet sheep don't shrink, they shack off the water. Or this one, even in a fallen nest, you may find a whole egg. That's pretty straightforward. Well, the Scots can be a stubborn and determined bunch, as encapsulated by this pithy quote. Canna be done means he'll do it. And when you make mistakes, your Scottish granny or granda would say, getting up's mair important than falling doon. And finally, in life, you should try to set the heather on fire. Meaning you should do your very best so as to excite yourself and possibly others with the fruits of your labour. Not sure how that saying got its start, but heather, of course, is one of Scotland's national flowers, perfectly suited to the wild and rugged landscape in Scotland. The most common type of heather in the country is ling heather, referring to the Old Norse word ling, or light in weight. Heather grows freely and abundantly across millions of acres of Scottish moorland, glens and hills. A beautiful sight indeed. You can catch it blooming in early summer and early autumn each year. When I was preparing this episode, I also turned to Scottish poetry for inspiration and encouragement. I'm a poet myself, so I know the power that lies within poetry. It has a habit of distilling life to its purest and deepest components. Reading great poems can transport you to different places and times. They can also gift you with a new perspective on something. I've picked out a few stanzas from some of Scotland's poets for you. The first is Victorian poet James Thomson, born in Port Glasgow in 1834. He was no stranger to misfortune. He lost both his parents before he was 10 and spent his teenage years in an orphanage before joining the military. He is known for his poetry as well as his biographies of other writers. He died at the young age of 47. These are stanzas from his poem, The City of Dreadful Night. As I came through the desert, thus it was. As I came through the desert, all was black. In heaven no single star, on earth no track. A brooding hush without a stir or note. The air so thick it clotted in my throat. And thus for hours, then some enormous thing swooped past with savage cries and clanking wings. But I strode on austere. No hope could have no fear. As I came through the desert, thus it was. As I came through the desert, eyes of fire glared at me, throbbing with a starved desire. The hoarse and heavy and carnivorous breath was hot upon me from deep jaws of death. Sharp claws, swift talons, fleshless fingers cold, plucked at me from the bushes, tried to hold. But I strode on austere. No hope could have no fear. As I came through the desert, thus it was. As I came through the desert, air once more, and I was close upon a wild seashore. Enormous cliffs arose on either hand. The deep tide thundered up a league-broad strand. White foam belts seethed there. Wan spray swept and flew. The sky broke, moon and stars and clouds and blue. And I strode on austere. No hope could have no fear. I like the idea Thomson expresses in that poem, that hope becomes something real when there are fears and difficulties to overcome. And I would add, too, that hope is especially powerful when you know the source of your hope is real as well. More encouraging words from another Scottish poet after some more music. This is up-and-coming guitarist and composer Chris Amer with a tune called Pondering on Perth Road. Well, my search for Scottish poetry inevitably led me to one of the greatest Scottish poets of the 20th century, Hugh MacDiarmid. First, a few stanzas from a poem of his called In the Shetland Islands. The great majority of us have been facing life away from the centre of things for a while, at home to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Sometimes you get cabin fever and you feel isolated from friends and other people and from the activities you used to do. This poem reminds us that we don't have to be in the middle of a busy city or a busy place in order to enjoy life's greatest good. I am no further from the centre of things in the Shetlands here than in London, New York, or Tokyo. No further from the great warm heart of humanity, or the general good, no less central to human destiny, sitting alone here enjoying life's greatest good, the pleasure of my own company, than if I were one with the crowds in the streets, in any of the great centres of population, or in a mile-long cinema queue, or a unit in a 200,000 spectatorate at Twickenham, or Murrayfield, or Ibrox. To be exclusively concerned with the highest forms of life is not to be less alive than normal people. Finally, I wanted to share with you another of MacDiarmid's poems, called Behind the Symbols. It speaks to an appreciation of nature and an invitation to dive deeply into our soul. Let the hearts of my people be lifted up once more with the daily sight of an eagle wheeling on majestic vans. That is our Scottish birthright. From their lives with the noblest form, at liberty in Europe still, the red stag pausing with lifted hoof on the sun-assailing hill. For these are among earth's glorious symbols, to souls of men needing symbols yet, and a man must be well nourished on these to embrace the infinite. But the Supreme Spirit enters into all, as an otter into its watery home, as if without dividing its flow and making no ripple, bubble, or foam. Even so, in the course of time, I hope my people will open their hearts until they are like the lochs the hill streams feed, forever, but cannot overspill. Some beautiful images there from poet Hugh MacDiarmid. Well, that's it for this episode. I hope it leaves you with some feelings of encouragement and inspiration, whether it's the pandemic we're going through right now or another challenge in your life later. I'm pleased to offer some small help to you through this podcast. Stay up to date on new episodes and chances to win Scottish albums of music by liking and following us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/simplyscottish, or twitter.com/simplyscottish. Enjoy all 60-plus episodes of the podcast anywhere podcasts are found: Apple's Podcasts app, Google Play, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, etc. And when you get a chance, shoot me an email at andrew@simplyscottish.com and let me know where you're listening from in the world, as well as your thoughts and any future episode suggestions. Email me at andrew@simplyscottish.com. I'll leave you with music from Shetland fiddler and singer Jenna Reid. It's a beautiful song called Fedlar Lullaby. It gets its name from one of the North Isles of Shetland. I'm Andrew MacDiarmid. Tune in again soon for another celebration of all things Scottish. Until then, stay safe, healthy, and joyful.
Hush-a-bye, my peerie darling. Sleep, oh sleep, confidation. Mom shall watch thee o'er be o'er, till thy bonny sleep is done. Till thy bonny
Simply Scottish is hosted and produced by Andrew MacDiarmid. Show content, copyright, Simply Scottish Media. All music is used with consent of copyright holders. Continue your Simply Scottish experience at simplyscottish.com. Thanks for listening.
thy bonny sleep is done. Bide the summer days are
Then you'll run about the nose, see the bee softly and humming, peery lambs and muckle yows, peery lambs and muckle yows, peery lambs and muckle yows. See the bee softly and humming, peery lambs and muckle yows. Hush-a-bye, my peery darling, sleep, oh sleep, comfy thee shoon. Mam shall watch thee o'er be o'er, till thy bonny sleep is done, till thy bonny sleep is done, till thy bonny sleep is done. Mam shall watch thee